We should note today is the very first day of voting in the 2024 race, as North Carolina is set to mail out early voting ballots. There's just one problem, though. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., while he is no longer in the race, Kennedy's name is still on the ballot there. A number of other states. He wants the state of North Carolina to delay its plans until his name can be removed. A judge denied that, but ordered a pause in voting while Kennedy appeals. As of now, the state is still planning on mailing ballots this afternoon. And Robert Brandon joins us now. He is the president and CEO of the Fair Elections Center. Robert, good to see you. Can you walk us through the impact of this ballot challenge in North Carolina? And I guess we need to explain the stakes here, because North Carolina could be a very close race come November on the presidential ballot.
Good morning, Jim. Well, I think we don't really know what the outcome is going to be, but it's going to be decided very quickly. And I guess that the state is going to send things out, and then they can always make a correction if they need to. But I suspect that voters will have mail ballots to look at within a very short period of time, and then they can start making their decisions.
And North Carolina, help us out here, is not the only state where this is happening. Kennedy also wants his name removed in Michigan and Wisconsin. They're, of course, very close battleground states. Those states have rejected those requests. Is that correct? What's going to be the effect of all this?
And I think this happens in other contexts too, when candidates withdraw after the deadlines of printed ballots and so on. So I suspect we're going to continue to just see things move forward in a regular way. And of course, mail balloting is an awfully important aspect of voting, particularly in the kind of election we're going to have that's going to be a high turnout election. Voters are really looking for as many options as possible, whether it be vote by mail or early voting.
And help us out here. It is a very safe and secure way to vote. Is that correct?
Yes, and we've had 20 to 25% of voters have used mail balloting for a number of years, and of course it surged to 43% during the pandemic, and even last year a third of all voters used mail balloting. It's secure. Mail ballots are checked against signatures. Mail ballots have barcodes that link a registered voter with the mail ballot that they get sent and returned, and then they're securely put in a place where they get counted, and it depends on when they get counted, either on election day or after election day. But the other thing is they're very convenient, and I think that's important. We have to remember that a lot of people may be working they're shift workers, and they may work a 12-hour shift as a police officer or a RN in an emergency room, and they don't have the ability to get to a voting place on election day, or they may have childcare issues, or they may have travel concerns, or they may have a disability that prevents them from getting to a polling place. So mail balloting plays an important role. It's very convenient. It eliminates some of the crush on election day. It's secure, and it also saves money for local officials who can therefore use less staff on election day to staff the polls at that time, because enough people are mailing in their ballots.
And I did want to ask you about Georgia, where Democrats are suing to block new Republican-backed election certification rules. Those rules allow any local official in Georgia to question results before they are certified, and also increase the number of partisan poll watchers. How do you see these changes?
Yeah, I think all these changes are troublesome, because they're inserting a partisan tinge to what should be a neutral election, and hopefully the courts will block that kind of an effort, and we'll be able to have a regular election. There are other limits in place, of course, that have more to do with restricting some of the absentee ballots, for example, that we were talking about before. Mail ballots in a number of states now require an ID ahead of time. The time to request a ballot may have been pushed earlier, so you have to make your decision about whether you want to use mail earlier. The time that they have to be received may be pushed earlier, or so, for example, Ohio used to allow mail that was mailed before election day but came in as late as 10 days to be counted. Now it's 4 days.
All right, Robert Brandon with the Fair Elections Center. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.